Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Spring Mills, and thank you for joining us for the 2021 Teacher of the Year recognition ceremony. We appreciate that you have joined us this evening. We appreciate that you have joined us tonight as we honor the work of our finalists and name the Berkeley County Schools Teacher of the Year. If you've not already done so, please be sure to sign the register outside the door so that we have record of you being in attendance this evening. I'm pleased to be with all of you this evening as we celebrate our finalists and honor our recipient. Before we begin the evening, I would like to introduce a few members that have joined us this evening. I ask that you please stand when I call your name, and if you would please hold your applause till the end of the introductions. This evening, we have our Superintendent, Dr. Patrick Murphy, with us. President of our board, Dr. Darren Gilpin. Vice President of our board, Mr. Todd Beckwith. Member, Jacqueline Long. Mr. Michael Martin, member. And Mr. Pat Murphy, member. Thank you all. Also with us this evening are members of senior administration. I would like to welcome Don Dellinger, our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. David Banks, Assistant Superintendent, Mr. David Dilley, Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Jim Butts, he is our treasurer, Dr. Justin Schooley, Assistant Superintendent, and not able to be with us this evening are Ron Stevens, who's not feeling well, and Dr. Veronique Walker, who is celebrating a birthday tonight. To our 5 finalists, the passion. Oh. Thank you. Sorry, I work with them every day, so I applaud them every day. To our 5 finalists, the passion each of you share for the children of Berkeley County Schools is evident in your selection as a finalist. Being selected as Teacher of the Year is the greatest recognition a professional educator can achieve from Berkeley County Schools, and I know that all of you are well qualified for such an honor. Thank you for giving so much of yourselves to this school system. The Teacher of the Year application process is not an easy one. It is designed for self-reflection and peer evaluation. Credit is given to the 30 nominees listed on the back of your program that accepted this nomination from their school and completed the application process. To be named a finalist among that impressive list truly speaks volume for the dedication to our students and your personal achievement sought by all Berkeley County Schools educators and finalists. Allow me to share with all who are assembled the selection process for the Teacher of the Year award. For the past 51 years, Berkeley County Schools has participated in the West Virginia Teacher of the Year competition. Each of our 32 faculty teams conducts a secret ballot nomination of candidates for the honor of Berkeley County Teacher of the Year. The number of nominations from each school is determined by the number of faculty members. Nominees must complete an application packet, including required criteria such as teaching philosophy, a biographical sketch, community involvement, and professional activities. The 5 finalists are then interviewed by a selection committee. The combined oral interview and written criteria scores determine the Berkeley County Schools Teacher of the Year. Once selected, our Teacher of the Year will compete against the other 54 West Virginia counties. The state Teacher of the Year will be announced at the Governor's Teacher of the Year reception in Charleston, West Virginia in September. A selection panel used a point system to select the 5 finalists. At this time, I asked Beverly Hoffmaster, K2 instructional specialist and coordinator of the Teacher of the Year program and the West Virginia Teacher of the Year in 1992 to introduce our judges. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Elaine. It's my privilege to introduce the judges for this year's Teacher of the Year contest. When I announce your name and introduce you, would you please stand up? Our first judge was Kim Agee from Berkeley County Schools and a retired principal. The next judge was Ernie Dodson, Berkeley County Schools, retired middle school instructional specialist and the past County Teacher of the Year coordinator for many years. Our next judge was Janice Stinson, Berkeley County Schools, Hedgesville High School teacher, and the 2018-2019 Berkeley County Teacher of the Year. And last but not least is our current Teacher of the Year, Michael Nupper, Musselman High School Teacher of the Year. They had an awesome task and really tough job. So thank you, judges.
Selecting the Berkeley County Teacher of the Year is not an easy task, and we certainly want to commend the judges' efforts in selecting the best candidate to represent Berkeley County Schools. And Beverly, thanks for your efforts to organize and implement this process. We have additional special guests in the audience tonight. At this time, would all former Berkeley County Schools Teachers of the Year please stand to be recognized? Are there any others among us? All right. Thank you, Bev. Oh, and Janice Stinson, thank you. And now I would like to introduce Michael Nupper, the 2021 Teacher of the Year. I have come to know Michael as both a respected and beloved teacher at Musselman High School, but he is known for his talents and passion for the arts across our state. He has been instrumental in helping Berkeley County Schools receive additional grants and instruments for students who aspire to excel in the field of music. Michael was announced the Teacher of the Year during a virtual presentation last year. This may be a piece of history for Teacher of the Year in our county, yet he was still embraced and celebrated by his school community. Now I would like to introduce Michael Nupper.
I'm going to have to adjust this. Thank you to BCS leaders, service personnel, faculty, administration, and our community and friends within the community for your support. Congratulations to the Teacher of the Year finalists. Each of you are inspiring educators who have gone above and beyond for the next generation of thinkers, leaders, and doers. I was asked to share a few words. One might say that being a teacher is like juggling a combination of a variety of professions. In other words, we have been accustomed to wearing so many hats. This is the way. The beauty behind an educator is knowing one is more than just their subject. The many hats worn proves this. Our educational community and its many friends realize that we are a people of solutions and destinations. Without hesitation, we place on any hat to set sail our crews to the best ports, ports of opportunity that harbor the minds and hearts of the future generations we serve and love. Certainly, this past year, some hats we tried on did not seem to fit. Others were not as snug. They were uncomfortable, or in styles we did not prefer. Online and behind the masks, you see and heard between the words how much we miss the hats that brought us all the common joys of how we cultivate rewarding outcomes. Moving forward, let us agree that we do our best when the destinations are beyond the measurement, where a new perpetuity of what we know and admire will require an enthusiastic patience. Where through unity, we dock our crews at ports only with views upon deltas filled with every shape, shade, and color. Before I go, I would like to thank the resolute. First, the committed, through storm after storm, continued to plant the seeds and tend the gardens. Second, the navigators, who sought the safest routes out of the recent fogs when it seemed there was no port in sight. Much appreciation to the inspirational, who lit the beacons to lift you, me, and our neighbors out of the darkest moments. The artists, whose expressions allowed many of us to discover new talents or reinvent ourselves. And the brave, who risk so much every day by wearing their hats to keep our families fed, safe, warm, and comforted. Educators, let's set our course. If we do what we do best, we inadvertently will find ourselves in places that are healthy for the future for all. So let's invest in the most pragmatic life purchases today that will pay our students back tomorrow. Practice your roar loud into the 2020s, where every finish line we cross will immediately mean it is time to train for the next race. So let the noise give us power to prevail. Friends, find solace in those smiles behind the mask we will soon see again. So colleagues, brush off your many, many hats. By doing this together, we accidentally, almost innocently, put what is most important in front of us, which is having our students be proud, confident, and empowered to wear any style of hat that makes them and their family happy in life. So they can roar too, not only into the 20s, but through every decade ahead. Then we educators can reflect that together we shape the world a little better than the way we found it. Congratulations, finalists, and thank you, BCS, for this wonderful honor. I appreciate all of you and our community as well.
Thank you, Michael, for sharing your experiences with us this evening and for serving as a mentor to many who will follow in your footsteps. Tonight, in addition to your honor as Teacher of the Year, we would like to also honor you as a champion for education and present you with a golden apple. If you'll join me back at the podium again. Don't you get too close. Take it out. Thank you. Okay, now it is time to meet the finalists for Berkeley County Schools 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year. We have a lot of logistics to go over tonight. You know, this is a year of change. So I'm gonna just, I told Jennifer Brooks, I said, Jennifer, if you get it right, everybody else will follow you and we'll get the whole evening nailed down. So each of our finalists will be introduced by their principal. I ask that the finalists come to the center of the stage to be greeted by a Board of Education member and to receive your plaque and be photographed. So our candidates or our finalists will come from each side of the stage. Our board members will come up the center and our principals will come up this side over here. And hopefully none of us will run into each other and we'll all be in good shape. Now there are 3 X's. Board member, if you'll stand on the far side, our finalists in the center, and then the principal will join you after the introduction for a quick picture, both with a mask and quickly without one. Okay. So Holly Klepner, you're up first, and she will be introducing Jennifer Brooks.
Good evening. Jennifer Brooks is a 6-year mathematics teacher at Musselman High School, where she teaches Algebra 1, Honors Algebra 2, Trigonometry, Pre-Calculus, WVU Algebra Trigonometry, and Leadership to grades 9 through 12. A native of South Berkeley County, Jennifer graduated in the top of her class at Musselman High in 2011. In May of 2015, she graduated as a McMurrin Scholar with a Bachelor of Arts in Secondary Education from Shepherd University. In January 2019, she received a Master of Science in Curriculum and Instruction from Western Governors University. Her studies and personal experiences have led her to design an atmosphere grounded in the principles of respect, positivity, and prioritization. She strongly believes this classroom dynamic is the main reason students are willing to discuss, encourage, and present solutions to their peers and meet the high school expectations set for them. Jennifer is involved with many extracurricular activities as she's used her knowledge as a Musselman High School alum to encourage students to participate in Spirit Weeks and uphold our school traditions. She co-advised the National Honor Society for 1 year before becoming the sole full-time NHS advisor in 2019. Jennifer also accepted the vacant position of Leadership and Student Council Advisor for the 2021 school year. Not only do these two leadership roles help Jennifer fulfill her passion for serving her school and community, but they allow her to share and instill the same values in her students. One of Jennifer's colleagues commented that Jennifer gives more than just knowledge to her students. She gives each student the time and respect needed for their success. She dedicates a significant amount of time and energy in creating a classroom that is engaging and welcoming. It is the ultimate Pinterest classroom. With a servant heart, Jennifer goes above and beyond and truly believes that Musselman has a special climate and culture, one that she works daily to nurture and uphold. A parent wrote that Mrs. Brooks wants students to learn at the top of their potential and have a great high school experience while learning. This is evident in all she does. Jennifer, I hope after this year, she has had a tremendous impact on our students, especially during remote learning, to keep them engaged in the traditions of Musselman High School. She recently purchased a house, so hopefully you can sit back and relax a little bit this summer. Ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Brooks.
Congratulations. Sure. Yeah. Let's take one without mask. But you got to stand on the X's. Thank you very much. Hey, Donnie Dellinger, will you be our assistant at the steps, please? Okay, our next introduction will be by Trent Sherman. He actually has our next two finalists, both from Martinsburg High School. Let's meet Trina Elliott.
Good evening, everybody. Very excited to be here to introduce not one, but two Teacher of the Year finalists. We'll start with Trina Elliott. Trina has been teaching at Martinsburg High School for 16 years. Her career began in August of 2005 after graduating magna cum laude as a McMurrin Scholar from Shepherd University with a Bachelor of Arts degree in secondary education, biological sciences. Trina later returned to Shepherd University while teaching full-time and obtained a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, general science, in May of 2013. Throughout the course of her career, Trina has taught all grade levels, 9 through 12, in a variety of science courses. As a new teacher, she taught coordinated and thematic science 9 for 1 year, The following year, she taught Cats 10 and 10 honors. She remained there for 3 years before transitioning to biology inclusion, and biology honors. After several years of solely teaching biology at various levels, she added advanced human anatomy and physiology to her course load. Trina currently teaches in both in-person and virtual sections of advanced human anatomy and physiology to juniors and seniors. Trina is dedicated to creating a safe, engaging classroom environment where all students can learn and thrive. She designs and implements highly engaging lessons for her students. Trina has been incredibly adaptive to the new technologies and teaching techniques in the COVID-19 era. She describes her classroom as a happy place and couldn't imagine doing anything else. Trina is warmly regarded by students, parents, colleagues, and administrators. Trina thoroughly enjoys interacting with students and fostering learning, as well as building relationships. A former student owes her passion to STEM due to Miss Elliott. I remember her anatomy lessons even after 5 years as I examined my cadaver unit in my college veterinary anatomy course. I also appreciate that she has supported my dreams and goals by staying in touch with me. Trina commented, I feel that as an educator, it is my duty to teach my students not only the content necessary for my course, but also to equip them with knowledge and skills that will be helpful to them throughout their life. Trina has been married to her husband, Randy, for 16 years, and they have 2 children, Sadie, who's 10, and Derek, who's 7, and 1 dog, Biggie. She enjoys gardening, listening to music, going to the creek, the beach, and spending time with her family. Ladies and gentlemen, Trina Elliott. Next, we have Renee Haynes. Renee is a science teacher with 14 years of experience at Martinsburg High School. A national board certified teacher, Ms. Haynes holds a Bachelor of Science in Biology and a Master of Arts in Secondary Education from West Virginia University. She also found out today that she is a finalist for the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. At MHS, Ms. Haynes teaches 10th through 12th grade students in life sciences, including biology, biology honors, microbiology, advanced placement biology, and WVU dual enrollment biology courses. She strives to establish a student-driven classroom environment focused on meeting the needs of all learners using data to drive her classroom decisions. She attends professional development trainings and conducts independent research to become proficient in a variety of instructional strategies, classroom management techniques, and scientific developments in the field of biology. A student shared that every day Ms. Haynes brings her intellectual curiosity and patience that when combined create an educational setting conducive to student success. In addition, she is a dynamic lecturer. It is evident that Ms. Haynes' students are engaged, challenged, and taught to think differently and independently, wrote a parent of 2 daughters having attended Mrs. Haynes' classes. Her direct influence in my daughter's education spans 7 years, but will impact them for a lifetime. Renee has a unique ability to create positive relationships with her students while still holding them to the highest standard of learning by being reflective in her teaching and creative with her assessment. She reflects as much on her own work as she does on her students' works. As advisor to the Science National Honor Society, Ms. Haynes conducts a traveling science show with local kindergarten through 8th grade students to encourage a love for science and discovery. To continue this endeavor through the pandemic, she developed virtual STEM Day with SNHS students, hosting elementary students for an afternoon of science fun. Mrs. Haynes finds joy in watching students discover the possibilities of science and marvel in the wonders of the world. Outside the classroom, Mrs. Haynes supports pre-service teachers, colleagues, and administration by serving in leadership positions and leading trainings. Serving as the chair on the local school improvement committee council, Ms. Haynes seeks to engage staff, students, and community to increase school climate and student performances. Renee has been married to her husband, David, for almost 16 years. They have 2 children, Chelsea, 11, and Kaylee, 9. She enjoys crocheting, reading, particularly historical fiction, and watching whale documentaries. Ladies and gentlemen, Renee Haynes.
Melissa Holland. She looks like she's all ready. She's going to come up and introduce us to Beth Lyons.
As Elaine mentioned, I am ready. This is such a great night. I'm beyond humbled to be here with these awesome educators, and especially with Mrs. Beth Lyons. Beth is a first grade teacher of multi-subjects focusing on English language arts and math. She's been teaching first grade at Hedgesville Elementary School for 15 years and teaching in Berkeley County schools for 31 years, 28 of which were in first grade. Mrs. Lyons graduated magna cum laude with her Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education from Fairmont State University in 1989. She received her Master of Arts in Reading in 2005 from West Virginia University and her National Board Certification in Literacy in 2008. Growing up as an avid reader, Beth could often be found in the library and associates this to her passion for learning. In her classroom, she engages students by getting to know them, their siblings, their interests, and sometimes even their pets. As a teacher, she continually balances the art of teaching with the science of teaching. Mrs. Lyons has used her annual poetry party and bump reading as opportunities to share her love of reading with families who want or need to establish reading habits that will foster a lifelong love of literacy. A parent reflecting on Beth's class from this year had the following to say. During the pandemic, Mrs. Lyons continued to meet with my student via Zoom for individualized reading and math lessons. She did everything imaginable to keep learning going and provided exciting activities, videos, and interactive lessons to keep him engaged. Further, Mrs. Lyons is described as a phenomenal teacher who cares deeply for her students and her colleagues. As a leader of the first grade team at Hedgesville Elementary School, she's always studying and learning, reading new research to grow as an educator. The strategies that she implements in her classroom will benefit all learners and team members for years to come. She has served as faculty senate chair and secretary during her tenure in Berkeley County. She's been a member and president of the Berkeley County Reading Council and served on the West Virginia Reading Textbook Adoption Committee in 2021. Beth is married to another Berkeley County Schools employee, Ron, and has been for over 30 years, and they have 4 wonderful sons, either Berkeley County Schools graduates or current attendees. Please join me in congratulating Beth Lyons.
Ms. Barb Ferguson is making her way up the stairs to introduce Mr. Douglas Martin.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to give you some information about Mr. Douglas Martin. He's served as a teacher in Berkeley County Schools for the last 8 years. He currently has the joy of teaching second grade at Jaredstown Elementary. He loves the small school format where he has the opportunity to get to know every child. Mr. Martin earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Early Childhood Education from James Madison University and a Master's of Education degree from George Mason University. He began his teaching career in Fairfax County, Virginia, teaching first and second grade. Additionally, he served as a principal in Loudoun County, Virginia, for 12 years before retiring from Virginia and resuming his career in Berkeley County. Mr. Martin loves teaching in Berkeley County. He's had the joy of serving with some exceptional teachers. He appreciates the training that has been provided, and he feels as an educator, you must always be striving to learn and improve. He has a passion for the implementation of the best educational practices and the opportunity to be the best teacher for our children. At the beginning of each school year, before orientation, Mr. Martin calls every family on his roster to welcome the child to his class and to begin building relationships. He feels that every child and every parent has a story to share. He believes learning their story supports the teacher in knowing the best way to serve them. This sets the stage for a partnership and the start of many parent contacts. One of Mr. Martin's coworkers described him as one who was called to teach. He can accelerate and challenge students because of the professional development experiences he has mastered and because of the innovative practices he has pursued. A parent shared this sentiment by saying, Mr. Martin helped turn her struggling son into an excited student who looks forward to attending school and learning each day alongside his peers. This parent said, Mr. Martin has a kind smile and sweet spirit that I know calms my son and gives him reassurance that school is a safe and fun place to learn. For me, working with Mr. Martin has been an absolute honor and pleasure. He is an outstanding professional who has dedicated his life to empowering children through education and establishing a solid foundation for lifelong learning. This commitment is at the center of every interaction with his students. When he was leaving to come for his Teacher of the Year interview, his students told him, just tell him how much you love kids. As they clapped and cheered for him, their love for him was obvious. I had the pleasure to speak with his wife, Mrs. Suzanne Martin. She and their children, Alexander, Lydia, and Rose, shared how very proud they are of him. They are thrilled that he's being recognized for the countless hours he spends making a personal relationship with each of his students. Their daughter, Rose, said, Dad is an amazing teacher who puts his students first. He works hard and goes above and beyond to help his students. His students adore him. He's the best teacher and mentor you can ask for. They hear those same things from current and former students who sing his well-deserved praises when they are out in the community. Mrs. Martin enthusiastically shared, he's always the Teacher of the Year in our eyes. The Jaredstown Elementary School faculty and staff wholeheartedly echo that sentiment. And we are so thankful to him and for him on behalf of the students and community of Berkeley County. So, Mr. Martin, when you take out your boat during your well-earned summer break and cast your fishing rod, you may do so knowing you've done your best and it has made all the difference for your students. Congratulations.
Now, who in the room wants to be a judge? Quite difficult, and I would like to award everyone with an A for following instructions. You did a great job tonight, everybody. So now it is my distinct honor to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Patrick Murphy, to share a few words and to announce our winner.
Well, good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here, and it is also nice to be in a room with more than 2 people. So I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, because it feels good as we slowly return to normal, or what we have grown accustomed to. And thank you for all your efforts, by the way, to get us back to that place, whether you're getting vaccinated or wearing face coverings or practicing, safe interactions with folks with social distancing. I think we all play a part in that. And yes, I am very purposely doing that because we are returning to school in the fall, and that is a priority. As we can see, not only the academic component of learning, but the social and emotional piece and the relationships students established with these 5 individuals here as representatives, but over the 30 nominees that we had across the entire school division or school district. So thank you for that. I want to start with a couple of thank yous. And while we have an audience here this evening, if you are a family member, a relative, a spouse, somehow related to any of these 5 outstanding individuals, would you please stand and let's give you an applause, because tonight is also about you and the role that you play with your family. And from me to you, just a thank you. I know, having a spouse, that at the end of the day, I share many of the things that have occurred and look for them for either support or guidance or ideas. And I'm sure you very much play that role. And tonight is about your family and the wonderful things that you've done to support these 5 individuals that we have here. Now, if you are a colleague or a friend or even a student of any of these 5 representatives that we have that are our finalists, would you please stand so we can thank you, because you play a pivotal role in their lives. And thank you for being here this evening and supporting them. Now, invariably, I leave someone out. So if there's anyone out there that has some relationship, tie, connection to any of these folks this evening, would you please stand so we can recognize you and thank you for being here as well this evening. You all should be standing up. All right, well, thank you, folks, for being here, and thank you for being part of our celebration. I also want to thank Elaine Bobo and Tabitha and Phoebe for their support. They're part of our communication team. They've played an important role in kind of pulling all of this evening together. I want to make a special note of thanks also to Michael Nupper. Michael, I was listening to you speak again this evening, and I've had the opportunity over the course of the last year, because you've been the Berkeley County Teacher of the Year, to speak to many groups, most significantly our new employees when they returned. And I was struck by the fact that how Michael kind of weaves his language and speaks, and it's almost like music to my ears. And then I'm reminded, of course, that you are a band or a music teacher, and there may be some design behind that. But Michael, thank you for your representation this year. Thank you all that you've done, not only this past year as our Berkeley County Teacher of the Year, but your continued advocacy. Michael continues to play a role, and that's why teaching is so important, not only to our nation, but also to our community. I want to thank Trent Sherman, Holly Klepner, Barb Ferguson, and Melissa Hollins for being here, but also our other 32 principals in the role that they played. We had 30 nominees, folks, from across the school district, with these 5 here this evening representing those that we are recommending to move on. Bev Hoffmaster and her entire committee, selection committee, thank you folks for your work and all that you've done. And I just want to share something just very briefly with you. I will get the hook from Elaine. Sometimes she says I'm a little long-winded. I tend to disagree with her on that. But that aside, I attended an event the other day, and there was the gentleman who was one of the survivors of the plane landing on the Hudson, and he spoke to a group of over several hundred people. And he passed along a lot of things that we know, keep the main thing, and a lot of different points. But he passed along one that I had not heard before, and I want to share it with you. And it was 5 plus 15 is greater than 15 plus 5. So I was kind of struck by that because I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting how he's doing math. But as he continued to explain, he said, when you are sharing something or directing his staff, or when you're working with kids, it's better to give 5 minutes of direction and 15 minutes of collaboration and engagement than to give 15 minutes of direction and only allow for 5 minutes of questioning and collaboration. And it struck me because I thought that's what we're about in education. We're about growing children. We're about letting them explore. We're also about letting them grow and showing progress. So if anything you take away from this evening, please remember that 5 plus 15 is greater than 15 plus 5. I think that's kind of what we echo, or what we share, and what we bring each and every day in our classrooms. And I know these folks model that very well. So again, to all of you for tonight, I thank you, and I very much appreciate the work that has been done. So now I have the responsibility and to call to the stage our recommendation for Berkeley County's Teacher of the Year, who will advance as our district representative at the state level. And I want to highlight the importance of this role, especially in today's climate. As a representative, you are really representing all of Berkeley County. You are representing all the teachers that we have here in our county. And you are, as previous Teachers of the Years have been, advocates for education. However, if you're not that individual that's called forward, we all still have that important role. And I'm reminded that several of others individuals here this evening also have been recognized for many of the outstanding things they have done and will continue to do. So congratulations to all. Really, at the end of the day, we are all winners, and Berkeley County is the benefactor of that, and those are our children. So I have the pleasure this evening to announce the Berkeley County Teacher of the Year for this school year is Miss Beth Lyons from Hedgesville Elementary. Beth, would you please come forward to the podium? So I thought it would be nice this evening. I'm going to step away from the podium, and I'm going to give Beth a chance to make some brief remarks and share her comments, and then we'll go ahead and move over here and get some pictures. But Beth, let me give this to you as a keepsake, and then let me give you an opportunity to make some comments.
This is rather surreal. I just want to really thank my family. My husband has always been really supportive. And I've learned from my sons every year that they were in first grade. I learned from the parent point of view as well as the teacher's point of view. And I really need to thank my wonderful teammates, Melanie, Kelsey, and Amy. We've been the brick and click chicks this year because we've all been hybrids. So we've really been supporting each other. And I really want to say thank you to my administrators, Melissa and Brian. They are always so supportive of everything I do. And I also want to thank Beverly Hoffmaster, who has taken the little seed of an idea that I had, and she's turned it into a grant and a training opportunity for new teachers every year, and I just overwhelmed. Thank you so much.
Hey, Dr. Murphy, Dr. Murphy, will you leave that banner out and let's have the rest of the board members come up also with your face coverings, please. And I think we might be getting some rain. So you guys are gonna have to stick around for the rest of the board meeting. Okay, now can the finalists all come over with Beth, please? Will you all fit? Well, thank you all. I'll let the board members return to their seats. Congratulations, Beth. So thank you all for joining us this evening. This concludes the part of our program this evening for our Teacher of the Year. There are some photo opportunities available out in the hallway, a couple banners and a couple props. If you guys would go out and like to enjoy them with your family and your colleagues. It is 6:23. What time you want to start, Darren?
So we'll continue with our meeting. Our next item will be recognitions. And continuing with recognizing excellent teachers, Miss Michelle Martin, Director of Pre-Kindergarten, will come forward.
Good evening, President Gilpin, Board, Dr. Murphy, and senior staff. I am very proud and pleased to introduce Whitney Lewis, or Miss Whitney, as her students and parents call her as this evening's a caring educator. I've known Whitney since she was 8 years old. Her mom, Sandy Lewis, was my secretary at both Winchester Avenue and Mountain Ridge Intermediate when I was a principal. So the excitement that I feel to see her grow and blossom into a master teacher has deep roots. Whitney is a Berkeley County Schools graduate from Musselman High School, where she played basketball and ran cross country. She took her running talent to Marshall on a scholarship where she majored in physical education and graduated in 2015. Her love for all students led her to being hired by Head Start to teach pre-K. And then she quickly transitioned to Berkeley County Schools to teach the youngest students at Musselman High, where she pursued her certification as a pre-K special needs teacher. She continues to share her enthusiasm for running as the current assistant track and cross-country coach at Musselman High School. Whitney returned to school at the graduate level and received her master's degree in education leadership from Salem University in 2019. Whitney added motherhood to her busy life in December of 2020 with the arrival of baby Sloan. So on to why she was chosen as the caring educator. She's the pre-K teacher of our littlest learners with identified needs who enter her class at the age of as young as 2 years and 8 months. The expectations in her classroom are huge because many of her students come not speaking. They're often not potty trained, and this is their first experience with school and in the setting with other students, and many even ride on our school buses. Whitney is able to accomplish all of the goals set forth for the littlest learners because first and foremost, she loves them like they were hers. She greets them each and every day with such enthusiasm that they truly know they are welcomed and wanted in her class. In kind, they respond by loving her back and are excited to learn in such a caring environment. This is the key to her success. She looks at her students' challenges and talents with the mindset and excitement of a coach, with the goal to grow each child as far as she can during the school year. She teaches them independence. They learn to hang up their coats, get out and put away materials, get in line, eat independently. And when they begin to speak, she celebrates with them. She wholeheartedly encourages the growth of socialization and friendship in her students. In all the years she has worked for me, I've never once heard her say a cross word to any of her students. Through her excitement for learning, the children explore language and reading, math and science skills, and all the social and life lessons that come with that age. Whitney also collaborates with the Work Exploration Program, and her class is used for coaching other pre-K teachers. I call Miss Whitney my Pied Piper because she's able to positively get those students to accomplish any task and achieve skills way above their age level expectations. Because when they leave her, they're normally 3, maybe 4. Positive comments made by parents hold on, we have a technical glitch. There we go. Positive comments made by parents during IEP reviews are far too many to write down. But here are a few that I've heard personally. Miss Whitney is like family to our child, and we cried when we learned we knew we had to leave her. This actually has been stated by more than one parent. Her patience is amazing. Our little girl would not have been where she is now in her learning. Thank you, Miss Whitney, for all that you have done. You have made my son feel loved and accepted. Why can't we come back to Musselman High next year with Miss Whitney? In the end, many want their children to stay with Miss Whitney forever. Her coworkers feel the same. Miss Casey, who's a speech pathologist at Musselman High School. Of course, when we first put the pre-K students there, my high school people are a little nervous, but Miss Casey jumped right in and of course has fallen in love with them just like we have. Miss Casey has said, Whitney is a wonderful teacher and coworker. The first thing she says to all her parents is, I will treat your babe like my own. This is her motto for every student in her class. She uses her compassion to make sure her students get what they need to be successful. Whitney has so much patience with her students and constantly tries new strategies until something works for each of them. It is always encouraging to see that every year parents parents request to have her back with their child. Whitney truly cares about her students and pushes them to be the best. She truly deserves this award for always putting her all into each and every one of her students daily. Her coworkers that work in the class with her, Miss Cecilia and Miss Liz, also feel the same. Miss Cecilia wrote, Miss Whitney and I have been working together for a while. As the years have passed, my admiration for her dedication and understanding of each of the students is something to be proud of. She has a special way of approaching the challenges of being a teacher with a sense of caring that only dedication can explain. Seeing her growth has pushed us to grow with her. I'm delighted to be part of her team. You deserve and enjoy. Love you, Cecilia. Ms. Liz wrote, Ms. Whitney is amazing, and I've enjoyed so much working with her these past 5 years. She always has the best ideas on everything from lessons to if one of our kiddos is having a hard time, she knows just what to do in every situation. She's more than just a coworker. She's a great friend as well. She truly is a blessing to me and our kiddos. Whitney is a talented, loving, and fun educator. And yes, those are live birds. And her students receive the best experience they can in her classroom. I also want to recognize she has an outstanding pre-K team to work with in Miss Cecilia, Miss Liz, and Miss Casey. So to wrap this up, because I could continue to share amazing stories of her positive impact on students and their families, I just want to say to Whitney Lewis, she is 100% the definition of a caring educator in Berkeley County Schools. So again, congratulations, Miss Whitney, on doing such a great job for Berkeley County Pre-K. And again, this is someone who did not start off as an early childhood pre-K teacher with her PE and health degree. She'd always thought she would be a high school teacher and coach. But as it turns out, sometimes life takes us in a whole other direction. So Whitney, I want to present this to you from the Berkeley County Pre-K program for your dedication and commitment to the students of Berkeley County, Berkeley County Board of Education, May 2021. Thank you. She's like one of my own.
Whitney, congratulations. Thank you so much for all that you do. Be great if we could clone you.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you, board, for letting us recognize such a wonderful, caring educator.
Our next item is Citizens Forum. Do we have anyone? Our next item is the consent agenda. And listed in that are the regular minutes of the meeting, the regular meeting minutes from April 26th, the work session meeting minutes from April 26th. We have 4 chaperone requests, 3 curricular and extracurricular trip requests. We have 1 use of school property. We have 2 budget supplements and 7 transfers. We're going to back the payment of the bills and approval of invoices out. We have the Bank of America leasing CMTA project number 2. And we have the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like for Mr. Butts to just clarify a question that was raised regarding the loan that we're trying to satisfy this evening. So Mr. Butts, if I could just ask for you to update the board on some information.
Thank you, Dr. In getting the payment payoff letter from Bank of America Leasing, there is a prepayment penalty in the documents. It was a 3% original penalty. We negotiated down to 2%. So the penalty to pay it off is $104,095.45. I know we weren't expecting that, but that is in our documents. But with that said, if we do not pay this off, the next fiscal year, we'll write a check for $190,000, $186 of which will be interest alone, with about $4,300 going to principal. So while it's not tasteful to do it, it is still our recommendation to pay that off.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the consent agenda? Opposed? Now we'll have Mr. Martin recuse himself.
Let me speak. Probably just there in the hallway.
Can I have a motion to accept the payment of the bills and approval of invoices?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item are monitoring items. And the first is open enrollment in PEIA. Dr. Schooley.
Good evening, Dr. Gilpin, members of the board. I wanted to bring your attention that we are currently in open enrollment for PEIA insurance. It began April the 2nd, so just a month ago. We have about 11 or 12 more days for our employees for plan year 22. The good thing to bring to your attention is there is absolutely almost no changes at all to PEIA this year. The rates will stay the same. The coverage that PEIA is offering stays the same. So our employees, as they look at their benefits and their options here, there is absolutely no changes to them unless they would change income brackets from one year to the next to see that increase there. But at this point, there is no changes to report with PEIA for the coming plan year. Is there any questions?
Thank you. Next monitoring item is the CEFP update. Dr. Murphy.
Thank you, Dr. Gilpin, and we'll go ahead and bring up the presentation this evening. Thank you. Okay. So this evening, I'm going to provide you an update on the Comprehensive Education Facility Plan. I'll refer to it this evening as the CEFP. And the purpose of this evening's presentation is really to give you a little bit of background information, bring you up to speed as far as where we are. The next meeting on May the 17th, we're going to have our consultant come and talk about the enrollment projections report. And this is all building for us to forecast in the future the need to present a bond to our community. So it's kind of a building blocks or stair steps to get to that point. And so this evening really is some background information. I want to thank Jim Butts, Susan Starlipper, who could not be with us this evening, for playing a role in pulling this information together, as well as Elaine Bobo. You may just want to advance the slides for me, given the challenge with the So as background information, in October of last year, with leadership of Mr. Banks, we submitted our CEFP and the board then approved that. This also lined us up for a variety of projects that are sponsored by the School Building Authority or the SBA, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. This is a 10-year plan, and as all plans like budgets or strategic plans, They are fluid. They're a moment in time. But we shared with the board when we brought the CEFP forward for their approval that we would be updating the board annually, and the enrollment projections are a part of that. And so is tonight's presentation. We submitted that then to the state board, and that was then approved shortly after the first of this year by the West Virginia Board of Education. As part of that plan, we identified a variety of projects. And the way that we've represented that this evening is that across the four regions, Hedgesville, Martinsburg, Musselman, and Spring Mills, there are a wide variety of projects that we see that would constitute support through a bond. And they range from safety and security, replacement of windows, doors and door frames, security cameras, roof replacements, intercom systems, interior doors, and then individual projects. And you'll hear a little bit more about how those projects look. Another piece of this is to have the community recognize, and this is somewhat driven by the age of our building, that this will support the entire Berkeley County community. And so the way we're representing it here with the close to $55 million proposal, which is fluid, and we'll continue to talk about it, but it is a snapshot in time based on what we see are going to be some of the needs as we move forward. Coupled with that, the School Building Authority, or the SBA, also funds a variety of need project applications. So those projects exceed $1 million or more, and we identified various projects that we thought would be appropriate, and they fell into the category of school security. And this was addressing school entrances in a variety of different ways, from providing cameras, intercom systems, or what I refer to as airlocks or vestibules, so that as people enter the building, we can progressively allow them the entrance. Dr. Gilpin and I, during the middle of March, made our presentation to the SBA, or the School Building Authority. Unfortunately, they declined our application. I think I shared with you that they have approximately $50 million at their disposal. They received close to $300 million in requests. And I think one of our legislative positions is that they increase the amount of funds that the School Building Authority has at its disposal. We can see the need is almost sixfold of what they were able to provide. With those various projects, then school districts need to also provide funding. With our proposal, which was, I believe, very reasonable and responsible, we wanted them to fund half of the project that we had proposed, and that we were going to fund the balance with local commitment. They can look at that local commitment if you're looking at building a new school. They also support that if you have a bond that has been approved by the community. And in some of our neighboring jurisdictions, that's in fact what happened. They received bond approval. In our case, we had the revenue and we had that at our disposal. So we were hoping that they would approve that. At the same time, we are on a timeline for a major improvement project, or an MIP. And we submitted that back at the beginning of April. They will announce those projects that will be funded here in the latter part of June. And again, these MIP projects are for less than $1 million of funding from the SBA. You can see here in the amount of money that we have requested, it's below that threshold. And again, we are going to be bringing forward local funds for the balance of the project, was close to $1.2 million. This project is for recent upgrades that we have supported at Winchester Avenue, and that's for the renovation of their HVA system. We recently did some upgrades there at that building with replacing windows and also door entrances. So again, it's investing in some of our older buildings, bringing them up to par. And as you can see with the replacement of the windows and doors there at Winchester Avenue, the building really looks sharp. I made mention that on the May 17th meeting, we are going to be looking at projections and enrollment. This is something that we're thinking out several years about. There has been much discussion about the need for building new schools here in Berkeley County. We recognize that businesses continue to come here. We recognize that home sales are headed in a very positive direction. We also recognize that our enrollment is gradually increasing. We have seen over the last year with the pandemic, some fluctuation, but really across the state, we are seeing that our enrollment declines or our enrollment increases are among some of the leaders here in the state. You'll hear more about this. And again, I'm trying to forecast what these enrollment projections look like, but the possibility for a second bond or expanding this bond proposal based on what our needs would be for additional buildings in the future would be part of that consideration. So again, this evening, it's really to give you some background, to give you, tell you where we've been and what we've done, and then to begin to forecast to the 17th for that meeting with the projections, and then make some decisions at that point in which direction we want to go. Whether we would be bringing a bond proposal to the community sooner than later, that's part of laying out a timeline and making sure that people are in the loop and they understand what's happening. It is a little bit difficult in today's environment to get some calculations on enrollment, but I think we've got a nice report coming for you on the 17th. Coupled with that, we are continuing to see that folks are coming to Berkeley County, and I think that's a positive not only for our community, but our businesses, our parks, and ultimately our school district. So I will stop there, Dr. Gilpin. We will be back on the 17th, and I don't know if there are any questions or comments that board members might have.
Dr. Murphy? Dr. Murphy?
Yes, sir.
I know you haven't seen the report, but will the report show the growth in certain parts of the county, or is it the county as a whole?
It will break down different parts of the county where they're seeing more and less growth. Yes, it's actually a very comprehensive report. And if there's additional questions or things that we want the consultant to go back and look at, he's very willing to do that.
Okay, and we're going to retire a bond shortly. Am I correct? Are we retiring, I think, a 2005 bond? Is it?
I believe we're retiring a bond in 2025. Is that correct?
Okay. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, then we'll be back on the 17th with some more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item are the action items. First is the adoption of the charter school policy, BC file I-0. Can I have a motion to accept charter school policy?
I mean, we approve the charter school policy styled as BC file I-0.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's pretty brief, right? What we're putting in a panel. I think we've talked about this before, but I personally believe that we should have in writing something you're adopting I mean, I will vote for this because I know it's the state board policy. But I just feel like you should have the actual document before you, when you're doing it.
Add, I think that it add input from the discussion, reference section to link it to the West Virginia policy.
Right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Motion, opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the adoption of critical needs policy, style BC file GAB, shortage substitute teacher. Can I have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next action item is the approval of the proposed budget for FY '22.
Thank you, Dr. Gilpin and board. Before I get started, I want to mention that our slides from the April 26th work session, I had missed a couple positions. One was a pre-K coordinator staff days from 240 to 261. Another was a communications coordinator, a new position at 261. And then we had a request for an attendance secretary to move from 210 to 261. Now, again, several of these positions, they're already getting paid on the timesheet, so the budget was already there. It's just moving them more to a formal contract versus a timesheet basis. With that being said, again, from the work session on the 26th, what's before you tonight, I had summarized that data to what will be published as a Class 2 legal ad this week. We will come back on the 17th to formally approve the budget pending the Department of Education's approval. So before you tonight, we have three sheets. The first one is on the general fund with a total budget of $230,543,699. The second sheet is our special revenue fund. That's a restricted fund, and it's summarized as $26,563,201. And then finally would be our debt service fund, and its figure is $6,090,600. Again, these are the numbers from our work session on April 26th.
Mr. Butts, what did you say at the beginning about the positions?
On the slides that we had from the 26th, there's a couple slides about staffing, and these positions were overlooked in that presentation. Again, it was a pre-K coordinator moving days from 240 to 261, communications coordinator at 261, and then an attendance secretary from 210 to 261.
Sorry, I just couldn't hear you.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the proposed budget for FY '22?
I'd like to make an amendment. I'd like to amend to the new positions that in the purchasing department that we have one professional purchaser and two service instead of two professional and one service.
I'll second her motion.
Excuse me?
Can you repeat it closer to the microphone?
Yeah. Did you hear what I said? I would like to amend that to the new positions that we have one purchasing professional and two service in the purchasing department instead of two professional and one service. That's my amendment.
So we have a motion and a second to amend the budget discussion.
Well, my question would be, if we do that, how does it affect the budget? That particular line item,
I can't hear you.
that particular line item, if we do what you suggest, how much does that affect the budget?
It's approximately $30,000 a year based upon what our average salary is for professional, what our average salary is for service. I would caution to remind you that we currently have a warehousing part of the purchasing process now where we already have several service staff. This is for the other side to help actually bring merchandise, get the bids, make sure we're purchasing within our cooperative agreements. So it's more on that side than it is on what we already have in place.
You take the lead. You take the lead on today.
Well, I just feel from what I know, I mean, we've had a service personnel operate the warehouse
Correct.
for years and years and years. I just felt that two professional employees in that department just seemed like overload was.
Well, again, we're creating a procurement department from scratch. We already have the warehousing and distribution side. We do not have a formalized procurement part of the process. So that was the request. The original request was to have 6 staff, but we cut it down given our budget constraints, and our recommendation was for 2 professional, 1 service to support what we already have.
Question? Miss,
No.
yeah, I have a question for you.
Oh, yeah.
Service personnel, I know they have seniority, but they also must pass a test. Who designs the test?
Well, I'm sure right now the county will design the test because there probably isn't a test for a purchasing coordinator or anything in purchasing. There used to be an inventory clerk, but I don't even think it's good anymore. So for service, the county would have to come up with a test, or you don't have to even have a test, but you could have, it would be in the job description and they'd have to pass, they'd have to certainly meet the job description, so. It was just an amendment I had that's been concerning to me.
I just want to ask administration, insofar as personnel throughout the year, we have the ability to add personnel. It's not like we're locked into even this budget. We can change from line item to line item, and we can change personnel. So
That is correct.
As the year goes by.
yeah, so what I'm just saying that I would prefer to keep the budget as proposed, with the knowledge that in the future we can change, we can do transfers, and that'll give you time to make a sales pitch on what they're telling us as far as the, and then when those items come up, we will have had a chance to really look at the dollars and cents of that. I just think it's such a small percentage of the overall 250 million plus budget that we have the opportunity to make those changes. Am I right, Jim and Dr. Murphy?
That would be correct. Again, this budget is fluid. Every year, we end up changing the staffing patterns as our enrollment changes or the school enrollment changes itself. So yes, while we do approve a budget every year, the staffing does change.
So would there be an opportunity to maybe even have another service personnel coordinator out there? Or
Well, I think we need to look at the
purchase-
department. We don't even have an operational at this point.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So I guess it's kind of hard to even determine what you need there. Correct?
No, I know we need a director and I know we need a coordinator, again, so we can develop the program, the purchasing, the procurement side, so we can follow purchasing policy 8200 for the state, so we can make sure we're taking advantage of our purchasing cooperatives to make sure we're consistent with the bidding process.
But what she's suggesting is that instead of 2 professionals, I think you said 2 service
Yeah.
and 1 professional. And we're already over budget from the state aid formula. So we're paying for all these positions out of local excess levies, which then ties up money that we can't give to everyone, if, you know, a nickel here, a dime there. But what she's suggesting in this budget would save us money and allow us to go out and try to recruit a service employee to do a job that this budget reflects a professional due, and a service employee would be paid less. So I see her being more conservative in trying to provide the services with less personnel expenditures. Am I correct?
Again, I politely disagree. I think what this job requires at this level of starting a procurement department is 2 professionals. I would like it to, if you're getting sued, do you want a paralegal or do you want an attorney? When we're talking about money, it's a $230 million general operating fund budget. 85% of that is salaries. The other 15%, a majority of that is procured products. And again, I think we can make up the $30,000 difference, and actually using our purchasing agreements that we have through the Eastern Panhandle Instructional Cooperative, plus TIPS and some other cooperatives that are out there that we do not have the ability to do that because we don't have the manpower. And again, I want to make sure we comply with Purchase Policy 8200, comply with that, and that we're also complying with all the bid requirements.
Any other discussion?
Well, I'll just say, add to what I've said. See, in effect, I think, Ms. Long, if I vote yes, if I vote for your amendment, effectively, I'm saying I agree with those personnel decisions. And I can't say I agree or disagree. So I'm going to vote against it just because I like the budget as it is. And then I think you have the opportunity to work with Dr. Schooley or Mr. Butts to bring us a presentation. That story might change, but I don't think within the budget we need to do that tonight.
Okay.
But we can vote on it.
So any other discussion? So we have an amendment to the budget to go from 2 professional purchasing in the purchasing department to 1 professional, and from 1 service to 2 service. All those in favor of this amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Michael, you were aye. Motion carries 3-2.
Hey, Mr. President, I have a motion to amend the budget. Ms. Lee? I move to remove the proposed deputy superintendent's index change pay increase from the proposed 0.63 back to the present 0.50 index.
So the motion to change the index.
Oh,
for
I'm
the
sorry, here you go.
Deputy superintendent.
You want that?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President. Our professional and service employee workforce is under a lot of stress, as indicated in the RAND Corporation report that I shared with you last meeting. We're going to give many of our employees a one-time promise acknowledgement of up to $500. But they are being recruited to the north and south of Berkeley County with significantly larger enticements. This board, and I learned last week that I was wrong, and I'll acknowledge that to Dr. Schooley on the job description, but this board and its policymaking approval authority should create a sense of a shared burden from the top to the essential troops on the ground. Pay raises are not in this balanced budget for the troops, aside from the extra duty assignments that we're doing, and also the extra opportunity to work additional days. But actual pay raises are not there. This old Marine Corps sergeant has said more than once that the troops should go through the chow line before the sergeants get their beans. That is the nature of leadership. We must all share in the burden then, and then we should share in the benefits. We should have no exceptions. No exceptions. Therefore, I think the present 0.50 index is where we should keep all of our deputies, associates, and the other individuals. Urge the passage of my amendment.
Any other discussion?
I'll just say that I, for this type of decision, defer to the CFO, the superintendent, who has a pulse of surrounding counties, what it takes for that kind of senior position. And I'm going to take the advice of management.
Any other discussion? All those change the deputy superintendent's index from 0.63 to 0.5, say aye.
Aye.
Mike, you said aye. So the motion carries 3-2.
Mr. President, I'd like to make another amendment to the budget. In the step 7 budget, I would like to ask the drama travel be from $1,500 per high school up to $3,000 per high school. And same thing with the vocational travel, $1,500 per high school up to $3,000 per high school. It'd be on par with the high school chorus program as well, for like a fair playing field for extracurricular arts programs and vocational. That's my amendment, Mr. President.
We have an amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm not sure if it's my place to make a comment at this point or not, but we are planning on purchasing 4 additional vans for the high schools that will eliminate some of their other travel costs, and therefore they could then spend that money on the other areas that they feel the need to do that. Step 7, again, is the carve out. It's a fixed fund. It's off the top of my head, it's 3.4 million for this year. So there's not a lot of room. If you increase that, you have to cut another program in step 7.
Also with the vocational travel, because CDE is part of the Perkins grant, we get the additional funding from the Perkins grant for vocational travel. This is just something for that.
This course.
No, that the vocational is the only one who's on the Perkins grant. The fine arts are funded through the step 7.
So with the budget, it's just, and it all, it's just, it'll just go back.
We also give our schools funding from the general operating budget that goes to help pay for travel. That's up to the principal's discretion as to how they pay out of that. A large percentage of that will go to athletics, but also band, chorus, and drama can pick up funds from that too.
Was there a reason that chorus is 3,000, then this vocational and drama is 1,500?
Just based upon prior request.
Question to Mr. Doing. A couple of years ago, we gave $15 per student to the faculty senates. Then when Mr. Hatfield came in, we had to eliminate that. What Mr. Martin is trying to do is give more discretionary money to these departments that usually have to raise a lot of money through fundraisers. And he's just trying, if I understand him correctly, trying to help alleviate that pressure of self-supporting fundraising process by giving a very small amount to help them in those projects.
And Mr. Murphy, over the years, with step 7, we've been doing that. We've been increasing things for those different departments all along. For instance, there was a time that our middle school band and chorus didn't even get a stipend, and we've added stipends in step 7 with that. The same thing with some of the other positions. But again, the travel and everything is based upon the request and everything, and those have been increased over the years.
But this board, if it wants to do above and beyond, we're not out of our lane. We have this discretionary ability to do.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this amendment to the budget? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-2.
Now, question to the president. At this point, must I step out? Because I think I have a family member who's one of those coordinators. Do I just make a motion to divide the motion before us to say library coordinators step aside, set aside, not step out?
We can just pull that out of the personnel actions and vote on it
Well, no,
separately.
this is budgetary.
Oh, the proposed budget.
Yeah, I move to divide the motion before us to put those library coordinators over to the side so I can step out.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor of separating this out?
Aye.
So now we're going to, can I have a motion to accept the proposed budget with the 3 amendments? And we're pulling out the budgeting for the library media specialist.
I stepped out. Yeah. Confused. I don't want to vote on something I'm not supposed to vote.
Can I have a motion to accept this?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any other discussion?
Yeah,
All-
so it's clear that we're changing the budget for the positions mentioned, which I can do out of the general fund and move those monies back into the reserves for the next meeting on the 17th. However, it still leaves the issue with step 7. That is a fixed flat budget. If you're going to increase it in one area, I've got to know where you want, what program you want to cut. Because that has to be a balanced budget on its own.
So, Mr. Butts, we just reduced by the mere few dollars that we increased from the reserve. It's down from 7 point down to 6 point something, and
No, the step 7 is a separate budget within the
Okay.
general fund. It has to balance on its own. It's a carve out of the state aid formula.
so we could take money out of the reserve and put it
No.
in? No.
If you want to change the step 7 budget, there's other programs in that budget we need to look at then.
Mhm.
Because that budget has to stay at, and I don't know what it is off the top of my head, Donnie, 3.4
Yeah.
some million.
3.4.
So if you're increasing one area, we have to decrease another.
I'll get you with that. Well. Okay, and how much money would you anticipate us just having changed?
I think it was $3,000, wasn't it?
Okay, here you go. I'll move that we fund Mr. Martin's item under professional development consultants, reduce the 25,000 down to whatever we have to in order to pay for his program.
22.
I'm on page, it doesn't have a page number here. Well, yeah, page 1. Consultants, Under professional development, 25,000. And how much did you say Mr. Martin's motion cost?
I would have to look at it. I don't have that number off the top of my head.
12,000.
12,000? I say we remove 25 from the $25,000 item down 12,000 with the remainder of 13,000 for consultants. Knowing that later in the year, if you have a burning issue on consultants, you can transfer it from some other fund like legal services or something like that. But even if you can't, I say I'd rather spend money on our arts than consultants. Urge the passage of the amendment.
Is that a possibility?
Well, again, it was under professional development, so you're talking about cutting a speaker or another specialist that comes in and talks to the teachers. So yeah, if that's what you want to do, but that's where it would be coming from is professional development.
We can do that.
How much professional development money do they get from the state?
Off the top of my head, again, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I want to say it was 63,000 for professionals and about 25,000 for service.
So well, that's a fair chunk of money if you add that to 13,000. So did you say 60,000?
It's roughly 65,000.
Be honest with you, a lot of people told me they fall asleep when we bring in consultants. So we keep them awake a little longer and spend the money better elsewhere.
So there's a motion to remove money from the consultant to professional development to cover drama and vocational travel. Is there a second?
Second. Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Now can I have a motion to accept the proposed budget for FY '22 to include the 3 amendments? 4 amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any other discussion?
I just want to add, even I'm voting for the budget, the proposed budget, but I feel strongly about sustaining those positions that we're putting in the budget, even though it's a proposed budget. After the 3 years of the COVID money runs out, I know that Mr. Butts says we can do that, and I trust his judgment, but I do worry about that because there's nothing worse than rifts. Because we're going to be adding new employees with growth. So you'll have those ones we're adding now, plus ones we're adding at the end of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And I know we get growth funds. But as I said, there's nothing worse than riffing. And Dr. Schooley is aware of that. It's heartbreaking. A lot of those people get their jobs back, but some of them go elsewhere. So that's just my concerns.
Any other discussion?
Well, I support this amended budget. I too share Ms. Long's concern about at the end of 3 years, the number of positions we funded, and I imagine the communications coordinator and the pre-kindergarten coordinator in the 3rd position. We funded that out of Fund 11, basically. And we've increased funds out of Fund 11, which these people should, unless we have a dramatic downturn in the revenues, they will have jobs pretty well assured 3 years down the road. The people under the COVID funding, we are talking about increased state revenue, increased property values, but But I'm concerned that as you have increased growth in your student population, you will have an increased demand for more personnel, not only in the classroom, but in the support areas from cooks to bus drivers and everything else. And I do see cuts on the horizon. But we have this COVID money and we have to spend it. And I think the staff, people were here last week and our senior staff here today have come up with some very good innovative programs. But I hope that if we have programs where we have dead wood, that we cut the dead wood and save the programs that are very innovative in these classroom experiences. So, but I have the same anxiety. I hope I'm wrong.
Me too.
But and I know Ms. Long just echoed the same. I hope we're both wrong. Growth and money and we find the golden goose and everything else. But that we get a taste of good programs. We say at the end of 3 years, sorry, you're gone because the COVID money's gone. I hope that we adapt and save what's good in COVID programs and look around for others. We do have a number of administrative positions. I'm assuming these 3 positions you brought, Mr. Butts, still keep us in a balanced budget, right? It was just an omission of a slide.
Yes, again, for the additional days, they were generally paid on timesheets for the additional days they were working. But also, want to remind the board that the COVID positions added have nothing to do with fiscal year 22 budget.
Well, one last thing. This is just a procedural area. I remember when we used to work on budgets, we got a thick printout, present, proposed, differences and everything. I know this has been a lot of work putting this PowerPoint together, but I also think as board members, we should have the total enchilada before us and able to look at those pages and look down through those accounts. But some things, like I said, maybe dead wood and they would show up. You don't put dead wood on the PowerPoint. But if we were reminded with a full budget document in front of us, like we used to do, and I hope we go back next year and do that, along with a PowerPoint, I think we as fiscal, in our fiscal responsibility as board members, should be looking at the whole thing and have the whole thing in front of us so that we can ask questions, not only about the PowerPoint things, but also about everything that's in that document and what we're spending now. Just a suggestion to senior staff and our superintendent, but I think as a board member, I should have that inch thick document that I can go through and look at the time.
Any other discussion?
Correct, Mr. Murphy. And it's part of the class 2 legal ad. We have to provide or make available to the public, anybody who requested the detailed budget. So when this is approved tonight as proposed, those will be available to be picked up at the board office.
I appreciate that point.
I just mentioned Dr. Gilpin, and in case anyone wonders how I would vote against 4 amendments, but then vote for the budget. I think the 4 amendments amount to less than 1/10 of 1% of the budget. So being 99.9% there, and I'm in favor of compromise. I speak that on the legislative level. So that will be my reason for voting for the budget.
Any other discussion?
I'm just saying one last thing, as much as I want positions in the classroom and the bus and the kitchen and the custodial areas, those are really important to me. And I appreciate Mr. Butts, all the work he's done on this, but I do see that out of county funds with those positions will be over 80 professional, 101 service. And that's a concern to me. It's not that I don't want those positions in where they're being put. I just see the dollars that we spend out of county funds. And we're gonna have to, whenever the COVID money's gone, we're gonna have to remember that because we've been in that position before and it hasn't been good.
All those in favor of the proposed budget with the 4 amendments and excluding the budget for media and library specialists, All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now, Mr. Murphy, if you could recuse yourself, we'll vote on. I have a motion to accept the proposed budget for FY '22, the portion that includes the library and media specialist.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I think he's locked down. Sounds like it anyway.
The final item under action items are the personnel actions. Dr. Schooley.
Thank you, President Gilpin, members of the board. The personnel actions dated Monday, May the 3rd, 2021 are as follows. We have 1 new paid coaching appointment, 2 resignations of an extra duty contracts, 8 new professional appointments, and 2 of those are for school nurses for this year. We have 1 correction to a title from a previous appointment, 2 policy 5,000 reassignments within a building. We have 2 professional resignations at the end of the school year, 2 retirements at the end of the school year. We have 5 transfers for next school year between buildings and positions. We have 3 service resignations, 1 service transfer, 2 new substitute school nurses, 2 new service substitutes, 1 cook, 1 bus operator, and we have 4 new substitute teachers for a total of 35 personnel actions for your consideration with the superintendent's recommendation dated Monday, May the 3rd, 2021.
Can I have a motion to accept the professional service, coaching, and substitute personnel issue actions dated Monday, May the 3rd?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
Curiosity, Dr. Schooley, the substitute nurse, is that the only substitute that requires West Virginia Department of Education approval? I think there's.
What they're looking at is based upon when they issue the license. This past year, there was a new interpretation that came out from the Department of Ed that no substitute can start in the position until the license has actually been issued. So this is one that we've interviewed and we're in the process of applying for her. So as soon as we can get that, we want to get her into the classroom. So we're asking for your approval to be able to start her as soon as that comes back.
Thank you.
Dr. Schooley, I'd like to apologize to you for last meeting, talking about I had the paper here, but I'm sorry, about the posting of the job. Our attorney, Kim Coyle, told me that I was wrong. I respect her as well as you,
Thank you,
elated.
sir.
But I just want to acknowledge I made one mistake, and St. Peter is chalking it down for me up there as I speak now. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the personnel actions, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item are board announcements.
Well, I received a message today where Mr. Welton is relinquishing his seat on the Parks and Rec Board. I know that Dr. Gilpin, perhaps you would want to say something as well, because you've worked with him over the years. But he has done an outstanding job in that role. I did have somebody contact me today, a couple months ago, and then I called and asked her if she was interested in serving on the Parks and Rec Board. but this board has the responsibility of appointing someone. And I just wanted to acknowledge Jim Welton's loyal service to that very important board in our community.
It's been a stable force. The Parks and Rec has recently received several applications, resumes for the executive director position, which interviews will begin soon for that position. And then the other issue with Parks and Rec, they are launching a strategic plan that we approved a couple meetings ago to be a part of. And I think that will go a long way in improving that organization.
Mr. Welton will be definitely missed.
He will.
Yes.
He was very, very good on that board. Any other board announcements?
I'd like to thank Dr. Murphy and Veronique Walker for considering adding the National Day of Prayer, May 6th, to the board calendar. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Superintendent's announcements. Dr. Murphy.
So I have a wealth of announcements this evening, so please bear with me as we are in the midst of kickoff to Teacher Appreciation Week. And this evening's Teacher of the Year enjoyment or celebration at the beginning of the year, beginning of the evening, I think is an excellent way for us to start. Again, I'll just remind everyone of our five finalists and our 30 nominees, and a big thank you and congratulations to Jennifer Brooks again from Musselman, Trina Elliott from Martinsburg, Renee Haynes also from Martinsburg, and Doug Martin from Gerardstown, and of course Beth Lyons as Berkeley County's Teacher of the Year, and our representative who's going to be part of the 54 other school districts in the state. And we'll watch Beth as she continues to move forward. And again, thank you to those individuals who are also part of nominating or bringing these individuals forward. I'm reminded of the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And that has become a classic for all of us around the holiday time. And I'm reminded of what Jimmy Stewart said. He said, Potter is not selling, Potter is buying. I have worked diligently this year to impress upon our staff that we need to attract people to Berkeley County and the wonderful things that are happening here. We need to build confidence that this is a place where you can grow your career and your family. And it's a place that we need others as well as us to invest in. And yes, invest. Invest in the longevity of your career, of your family, your welfare, and leading a wonderful life. As a leader, I have worked from the beginning of this year with a budget and the realization that there could possibly be reductions and that people may take flight. That's what this evening's budget represents. That's what our advocacy and our leadership needs to be today, but looking forward. Yes, are there evenings of sleepless nights and worrying? That comes with leadership and that comes with responsibility. And that also comes in celebrating. But coupled with that, it's easy to identify problems. It's easy to identify issues. It takes leadership to identify solutions. And those solutions need to be large scale. I feel incumbent in saying that this evening in light of Teacher Appreciation Week. I feel incumbent to say that as representing the leadership of this school district and the work that they invested over the months to build this budget. And I feel that responsibility also coupled that we are recognizing the wonderful work that the people here that are doing. And I feel we as leaders have that responsibility to our community. Now, Elaine Bobo and her team have put together a wonderful social media package with Twitter and Facebook hashtags, but I just want to capture some of the things that people are saying and why it's so important that we are buying. We're not selling, and we need to continue to buy and make those investments. And that's what our budget represents. That's also what this evening represents as far as how we've identified and celebrated our teachers. So up in the right-hand corner, Tiffany says, my child needed to, have someone who understood Braille. We had a teacher that went out and took a course and learned how to read Braille. That to me is heroic. We had another individual tell us about their child thriving at school as a result of some of the the challenges they've had. And then the third here that we've captured, and there are many more than this, the third that we've captured here is just a big thank you to all our staff. So there are many celebrations across Berkeley County. This is an exciting week. I can remember it as a teacher. I can remember it as a principal. I can remember all the planning that went into these type of things. We want to celebrate our teachers. We want to celebrate our entire staff, but we also want to thank them, and we want to have them be agents for our school district. We want to build confidence in them that this is a place that they can grow their careers and their lives and their families. And there is much promise here, and we as leaders have to forge forward with that and seek solutions as we move forward. So hopefully we'll continue to bring you some of those things that are happening. We've got a wonderful social media campaign that's out there. We are also on Friday going to celebrate the school hero lunch. We are going to be recognizing 160 members of our school lunch heroes. This year, we have served in our schools over 13,000, we're averaging over 13,000 meals. And we've also provided over 1 million curbside. To give you some proportionality, if we were in a normal year with students attending all of our schools, we would be in the range of about 22,000 meals that folks would be passing along on a daily basis. So again, thank you to our school lunch heroes led by Tracy Heck and all our food and nutritional folks. We were talking just a little bit about nurses, and I just want to highlight that it is National School Nurse Day before our next board meeting. And so we have 27 registered nurses. We have 1 licensed practical nurse and 7 now substitute nurses. We've got a little video that I think if we can cue that up, it was led by Judy McCune, and it kind of captures what our nurses do just beyond some of the normal routines that we are familiar with that go on in schools day to day.
Washing those hands and staying apart. Muffin in your sleeve is very, very smart. All these rules so school can start. Thank God I'm a school nurse. Well, I got my mask and my hand sanitizer. COVID-19 has made me much wiser. Another report to the supervisor. Thank God I'm a school nurse. Immunizations, checking them twice. Checking these kids for bugs and lice. Getting back to school has been mighty, mighty nice. Thank God I'm a school nurse. Well, I got me old mask and my hand sanitizer. COVID-19 has made us much wiser. Another report for the supervisor. Thank God I'm a school nurse.
Things may look different, you will see. But nothing has changed between you and me. Health and safety to the highest degree.
Thank God I'm a school nurse. Got my mask and my hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 has made us much wiser.
Another report for the supervisor. Thank God I'm a school nurse. we can beat this virus. You will see. Fauci has nothing over on me. Get the vaccine, that's my final plea. Thank God I'm a school nurse. Thank God I'm a school nurse.
Staff and students, be kind, be safe, and make the right choices. And remember the 3 W's. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and watch your distance. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I think that's a Grammy Award right there.
They did a very nice job with that, and I want to recognize them again. That was produced by Tabitha Porterfield in our communications department. But the other piece of that is our school nurses, while they play a critical role just in the day-to-day, have over this past year with the COVID-19 and the pandemic really played a pivotal role in some of the tracking that they've had to do and tracing. And so thank you for letting us recognize them this coming up on the 12th. We also have mental. I'll give Mr. Kenny a chance to. There it is. It's one up from there, I think. There we go. It's Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is a snapshot that was pulled together at Mountain Ridge Intermediate by the 2 counselors there, Christine Berg and Angela Routson. And it's just an awareness to let folks know that they're not alone, that if there are concerns about mental health, to seek out support and consult with your counselors or others so that they can support, and realizing that you're not alone out there. Many of the things we all experience and struggle with, and we have support systems in place to be able to help. Mr. Butts provided information again on our calendar. We are going to be publishing the public notice coming up here on May 7th based on the action that you took. On the 17th, we'll be bringing back the budget hearing for then the school board to adopt the budget. The budget will then be sent to Charleston, where we will be seeking approval at the end of the month, May 31st. A reminder that we adopted our school calendar as a board at the last meeting. Today, Mr. Dellinger and I received notification that our calendar has been approved for the 2021-2022 school year. Again, thank you to Mr. Dellinger for his 11 years of leadership and pulling the calendar together. And just some highlights there. Again, students, we are planning for students to all return to school with the first day for teachers going to be on August the 16th and the first day for students on August the 23rd. I want to bring to your attention that Juneteenth is the 19th of June, and the Herbert Henderson Office of Minority Affairs is inviting talent from across West Virginia to apply to perform at the upcoming virtual event celebrating this day. We're encouraging vocalists, bands, poets, dancers, choirs, musicians to submit application to the Henderson Office of Minority Affairs. We've got a lot of talent here in Berkeley County, and this is a time that we can celebrate that cultural diversity and highlight some of the talents that we have here. We have placed a link on our website so that you can make a submission there, but we're promoting this across the county so folks can take advantage of that participation. Last meeting, I informed you of nominations through the Berkeley County Diversity Council for outstanding equity and inclusion champions. Again, I want to remind you there are 6 categories, and that deadline is May the 31st. As you know, we still have the student scholarships. I just wanted to highlight that again and thank the Diversity Council for sponsoring these scholarships and awards, but also congratulate all the students that made application for those scholarship awards. They are going to be announced here later prior to the end of the school year, and we will be recognizing those individuals with the Diversity Council at one of our upcoming board meetings. Highlighting the graduation celebrations that we'll be attending across our 4 high schools. We've also identified the time for those different events, and there is a range of different activities that schools have planned in working with their students and communities. I want to give another big shout out to Main Street Martinsburg for displaying the pictures of our graduates down on Main Street in Martinsburg. They did that last year, and we saw many families going there after graduations and taking pictures and celebrating. So again, thank you to that group for their sponsorship. We are gearing up for our summer program, which kicks off on June 14th through July 22nd. And there are a range of different activities. We'll start in the morning at 8 a.m. And afternoon also goes from noon to 2. It's for rising students grades 6 to 10 will attend one of our high school locations based on their region. And then rising students grades K through 5 will be attending one of our intermediate school locations. So they're going to be designed regionally. Transportation is going to be provided, as well as school breakfast and lunch. And there'll be morning instructional activities will be included, and there will also be an aftercare option at the end of the day. As of this afternoon, we had well over 500 students enrolled. We're seeing strong enrollment at the lower grade levels. So we want to give people time to plan and think about it, but we want to encourage to continue to look at that as an option. Again, I think we've had good response in just 2 days, and we plan for that to continue to increase. Interim reports went out today, so families should be looking for those. I want to continue to remind folks that we are planning to return to school on the beginning of the school year and have all of our students return for in-person instruction. We are also having a teacher workday that had been announced earlier in the school year as part of the school calendar. And this will be a remote learning day for students while our teachers do planning. And that will be on Wednesday, May the 5th. So a lot of things going on. We'll kind of update that on the 17th. And again, thank you for your support. I think we have a lot of wonderful things that are happening here in Berkeley County. And I think with our strong leadership, we can continue to make those things move in a positive direction. So Dr. Gilpin, I'll turn it back to you, sir.
Thank you. I have a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.